To view or modify the default translation settings for all accounts, begin by selecting Consolidation from the application cluster. Select Consolidation Process, Translated, Translation Overrides, and Manage Defaults. When you first create an application, the system creates default translation settings for balance accounts and flow accounts. For balance account, the translation method is periodic and the rate account is ending. For flow account, the translation method is periodic and the rate account is average. To change these defaults, you can select periodic or year-to-date for the translation method and average or ending for the rate account. With the periodic translation method, the value for the periodic member of the view dimension is the current period movement translated at the current period rate. The value for the year-to-date member is the sum of the translated periodic values from the first period of the year through the current period. With the year-to-date method, the value for the year-to-date member of the view dimension is the total year-to-date movement translated at the current period rate. The value for the periodic member is the current period year-to-date translated value minus the prior period year-to-date translated value. I'll change the default rate for flow account to ending rate. Note, although you can create additional rate accounts for an application, you can only select average or ending for the default translation accounts. Only service administrators can modify default translation settings. Power users can view default translation settings. When you save your changes, the translation settings take effect immediately. You do not need to refresh the database. Note that the default translation settings apply only to the no movement member, the opening balance adjustment member, and the base level members of the movement's subtotal hierarchy. The default translation settings do not apply to the closing balance member, the opening balance member, or the members of the total effect from foreign exchange hierarchy. You cannot modify the translation calculations for those members. Now I'll run a translation to verify the default translation setting change from average rate to ending rate for flow accounts. Notice that the ending exchange rate for British pounds and euros is 1.5 for June. I'll open a form and translate EMEA for June. I'll set the reporting currency to US dollars and launch the translation. The cash flow for France and the UK multiplied by the 1.5 ending exchange rate for June equals the total translated amount for EMEA. To learn more, visit docs.oracle.com.